You open your phone without thinking. Just a few minutes, you tell yourself. You scroll past someone your age talking about their wins, bigger income, better life, calm voice, confident smile. They make it look easy. You don't feel angry. You feel tight, quietly tense, like something inside you just dropped. Here's the thing. Nothing bad actually happened. Your bills didn't change. Your job didn't disappear. But your chest feels heavier anyway. Your mind starts rushing. You think about what you should have done by now, what you're behind on, what you missed. You don't even want what they have. You just don't want this feeling. The truth is, this isn't jealousy the way people talk about it. It's not envy. It's a low-level stress that sits in your body and messes with your choices. You start questioning yourself. You feel late, you feel small, and without noticing, your sense of control weakens. You close the app, but the damage stays. Your focus is off. Your patience is lower. Money feels louder than it did 5 minutes ago. Not because you learned something new, but because comparison pulled you out of your own lane. And the worst part is, you don't even know when it happened. This feels hard because your brain is not trying to help you grow. It is trying to keep you safe. When money feels uncertain, your mind switches into survival mode. In that state, everything becomes about risk, loss, and avoiding mistakes. Calm thinking drops. Long-term thinking gets quiet. You are not failing. You are reacting. Here's the thing. Survival mode changes how you see other people. Their success does not look like proof that things are possible. It looks like a warning. Your brain reads it as, they are ahead. I am exposed. That creates pressure in your body before you even form a thought. Tight chest, fast scanning, subtle panic. You may not notice it, but it's there. The truth is, scarcity thinking shrinks your attention. You stop seeing your own progress because your brain is busy watching for threats. Every win you see online feels like a reminder that time is running out. That's why logic doesn't land. You can understand numbers and still feel stuck, because this isn't about knowledge, it's about safety. Your brain would rather you stay alert and stressed than calm and patient. Stress feels productive, even when it isn't. It makes you feel busy, but not in control. And the longer you stay there, the harder it becomes to trust yourself with money. Not because you can't learn, but because your system never gets to relax. $5,000 is not a wealth number. It's a nervous system number. It's the point where money stops feeling like something that disappears the moment you touch it. Before this, every dollar feels fragile. You save a little, then something happens, and it's gone. That cycle teaches your brain not to trust the idea of saving at all. Here's the thing. When you are always watching other people win, your body stays tense. You feel late. You feel behind. And in that state, saving feels pointless. Why protect money when it already feels like you're losing the race? So without realizing it, you stop trying to build safety. You focus on short-term relief instead. The truth is, most people never cross this line, not because they can't, but because their stress keeps resetting them. Comparison keeps the pressure high. High pressure makes patience feel uncomfortable. And without patience, money never gets a chance to settle. This number matters because it changes how your brain reacts to uncertainty. Small problems stop feeling like emergencies. You don't panic as fast. You don't need to check your account every time something comes up. That shift has nothing to do with returns or strategy. It's about breathing room. Until your system feels safe, money will always feel loud. And when money is loud, it's almost impossible to build anything that lasts. Something quiet changes when you cross that line. Not in your account, but in how you see yourself. Before, money felt like something you had to chase or defend. Now it starts to feel like something you can hold. That matters more than the number itself. Here's the thing. For the first time, you prove something to yourself without telling anyone. You show that you can wait, that you don't need to react every time someone else posts a win. You don't need to match their pace or prove you're doing fine. That restraint builds trust with yourself. The truth is, this is where discipline becomes real. Not the loud kind that shows off, but the quiet kind that says no when it would feel good to say yes. You stop confusing movement with progress. You learn that staying still can be a form of control. Your identity shifts from someone who hopes things will work out to someone who knows they can protect what they build. You don't feel rich, you feel steady. And that steadiness changes how you show up in small ways. Less rushing, less second guessing, less urge to explain yourself. Nothing about this needs to be announced. No one else has to notice. But you do. And once you see yourself as someone who can stay in control, it becomes much harder to give that up. Once a bit of stability appears, your thinking slows down. Not because life gets easier, but because your mind is no longer on edge all the time. Before, every choice felt urgent. Spend now or regret later. Save now or feel deprived. That constant push made even small decisions feel heavy. Here's the thing. When money stops feeling like it's always slipping away, stress stops shouting. It doesn't disappear, but it lowers its voice. You stop checking your balance just to calm yourself. You stop doing mental math in the middle of normal moments. Your brain has more space to think clearly. Spending becomes calmer because it's no longer emotional. You don't buy things to feel better or to feel caught up. You pause without forcing it. Not buying something doesn't feel like punishment anymore. It feels neutral. That's a big shift. The truth is, your focus moves from reacting to choosing. You're no longer pulled by every headline or post. Other people's timelines stop feeling urgent. Their pace doesn't decide your mood. You start noticing your own rhythm instead. You think less about proving progress and more about protecting calm. Decisions feel quieter, more deliberate. You're still careful, but not tense. And that difference changes how money fits into your life. It stops being a source of noise and starts becoming something you can work with without rushing or panic. When money stops feeling fragile, your behavior changes in ways you don't plan. You don't suddenly become bold. You become steady, and people notice steadiness more than confidence. At work, your words slow down. You don't rush to fill silence. You don't agree too fast just to stay safe. Here's the thing. Desperation leaks. Even when you try to hide it, it shows up in how quickly you say yes, how much you explain, how afraid you are to push back. When that pressure eases, you stop performing for approval. You start responding instead of reacting. The truth is, negotiation feels different when you don't need an outcome to feel okay. You can ask without your voice tightening. You can hear no without taking it personally. That shift doesn't come from skill. It comes from not being scared of losing ground. You also stop clinging in other parts of life. You don't chase every opportunity. You don't hold on to situations that drain you just because they feel familiar. Options start to appear, not because the world changed, but because your posture did. This is what optionality really is. Not freedom to spend, but freedom to wait. Freedom to choose. And that calm, quiet freedom shapes how you move through work and life without needing to prove anything. The mistake usually happens quietly. You don't announce it. You just start wanting to feel different. After holding back for so long, there's an urge to prove that the effort meant something. Not to others, maybe, but to yourself. You want a signal that you've moved up. Here's the thing. That urge pulls you right back into comparison. You start watching again, you start measuring again, and slowly, the calm you built gets traded for approval. You spend not because you need to, but because staying quiet starts to feel uncomfortable. The truth is, Trying to feel rich too early wakes up the same stress that kept you stuck before. Your nervous system goes back on alert. You check your balance more often. You justify choices. You start thinking in appearances instead of safety. Nothing dramatic breaks. That's why it's dangerous. It just erodes the stability you worked for. Little by little, patience turns into pressure again. This trap isn't about spending, it's about identity. The moment you try to perform progress, you stop protecting it. And when protection drops, stress returns. Not loudly, but steadily. And before you realize it, money feels loud again, even though the number didn't change. What changes here is not your strategy, it's your posture. You stop treating money like something that needs to prove anything. You stop asking it to give you status, relief, or confidence. You let it stay boring. That's not a lack of ambition, that's protection. Here's the thing. Your attention is now more valuable than your progress. Where you place it decides how calm you stay. Watching others, tracking noise, replaying comparisons, all pull you back into tension. So you guard your focus, not with force, but with indifference. You simply don't engage as much. The truth is, calm doesn't grow from doing more. It grows from not undoing what you've built. You protect your identity as someone who doesn't rush, doesn't react, and doesn't need to signal success. That identity keeps your nervous system steady. Money stays quiet when it's not used as proof. You don't squeeze it for meaning. You don't turn it into a scoreboard. You let it sit in the background, doing its job. This isn't about moving faster, it's about staying intact. And when you protect calm, stability has room to stay. Think about the version of you a year from now. Not louder, not richer on paper, just steadier. That version isn't rushing. They aren't scanning every room or screen for proof they're doing okay. They move slower because they don't need to react to everything anymore. Here's the thing. That future you isn't impressed by noise. Winds come and go, trends rise and fade, and none of it pulls them off balance. They don't feel the need to watch other people succeed just to measure themselves. Their sense of timing is internal now. The truth is, stability doesn't announce itself. It shows up as quiet confidence, fewer spikes of stress, and more space in your head. Money stops being a constant signal and starts being a background tool. That's not boredom, that's control. And control feels calm, not exciting.